Hello students, welcome to my third lecture on the topic Memoirs of a Chota Sahib. We have covered a huge chunk of the chapter. Today let us continue from this particular part where the author was talking about his experiences during his stay in the North Bank. So far you have come to know that the author John Ruantry, he had the experience of staying in our own state Assam as he had been ordained the post of senior conservator of the forests of Assam. So he had his experience of staying in the north bank of Assam as well as in the south bank. So now we are in the north bank. In our last class also we were talking about his experiences during his stay in the north bank, and it is still continuing. Okay. The highlights of the last class were he was mostly talking about the floods, which are a common problem during the rainy season. He talks about his experiences of crossing the rivers which are flooded. Once he had to cross such a flooded river on horseback. Then he talks about the mar boats, and he is filled with appreciation for such a device. Now he will tell us about more experiences during his stay in the North Bank. All of you please follow line by line. Once, when touring with my family on the North Bank, we left our return rather late, or rather the monsoon broke rather early. And although the roads were still motorable, driving became distinctly dicey. Dicey means risky. Okay? The author here is telling that while they were touring with his family on the North Bank, see, the author often used to tour with his family. Tour means to go for journeys. Family লৈ পেলাই ফুৰিবলৈ গৈছিলে. এবাৰ কি হ'ল, he left the return rather late. অলপ late কে return কৰিলে. Or rather the monsoon broke out early. The author is not sure. He is suspecting two reasons. হয়তো জাৰ্ণিৰ পৰা ঘূৰি আহোঁতে তেওঁলোকৰ দেৰি হৈছিলে, নহয় বা মনসুন সেইবাৰ অলপ আগতীয়াকৈ হৈছিলে. Okay, the monsoon broke out early or he returned late. And although the roads were still motorable, driving became distinctly dicey. Roads were still motorable. That means cars or other vehicles could ply on the road, but the roads had become, or the driving had become very risky. যদিও মানুহে ৰাস্তাত ড্ৰাইভিং কৰিব পাৰিছিলে, বৰষুণ আছিলে, খুব বৰষুণ মনসুনৰ সময়, তথাপিতো মানে ড্ৰাইভিংটো খুব ৰিস্কি হৈ পৰিছিলে. Okay? Most of the main roads were built on top of embankments to raise them well above the normal flood level. And they were narrow single-track affairs. Embankments means a long mound of land or earth, okay, which is built near the river. Ami jitu Ohomiyat ko mothauri. Okay, so generally at the time the roads were built on top of the embankments. Embankments ba mothari uporot he rasta bilak bonua hoisile. Why? To raise them above the normal flood level. The embankments are at a height. Okay, embankments are at a height. Mothari bilak ukho thake. He ukho mothari uporot rasta bilak asile. Okay, most of the roads were on top of the embankments. Then they were now narrow single-tracked affairs. So another very hazardous thing was that the roads were very narrow. Khub thek, rasta bilak khub thek asile. And it was a single-track affair. Each road was a single-track affair. Means one car could pass at once. Two cars cannot pass side by side. That was the problem. Ekeleke dukhon gari par hobo noarisile. Rasta bilak jehetu thek asile, ebarot okol ekhon gari par hobo parisile. So poristhithi tu kenekwa asile? So many difficulties. First was that it was the time of monsoon. Rains had already begun. Then what happened? Then the driving had become very risky. The roads were very slippery. And second important thing was that third important thing was that the roads were built on top of the embankments, and it was really very, very risky. And the roads were very narrow. Khub thek asile rasta bilak khub thek. Okay, very narrow. Then what happened? The road we were on becoming increasingly greasy. Greasy means slippery, oily, or you may say slippery. The road which the author and his family was using that road with time. তেওঁলোকে জাৰ্ণি কৰি আছে, ৰাস্তাটোদি গৈ আছে, লাহে 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 ৰাস্তাটো কি হৈ গৈছে? Slippery হৈ গৈছে. Okay, it was becoming increasingly greasy, slippery or oily. One skid led to another. Skid means to slide without control. Slip khai gol. Skid, to slip without control. Slide led to another. And finally we slithered. Slithered means to pass without obstruction. Or you may say slide. Okay, pori gol. Over the edge into a paddy field some 6 feet below the road. All of you please underline the word 6 feet. So what happened? They slipped on the road which they were traveling on. The road was becoming slippery with time and it led to a skid. Slip khale. Eta slipper pa ako next slip khale. Teneke hote ki hol tahator gari khon mothari upor pra pori gol. And what was the height from which the car fell? It was a height of 6 feet. Keep that in mind. 6 feet. 6 foot uporar pra teoloko gari khon pori gol. Aru kot porile soa. Over the edge of a paddy field, some 6 feet below the road. Edge of a paddy field. Paddy field mane jot amar kheti hoy, okay, dhan kheti hua jaga to paddy field buli koy. So the car fell on the edge, on the side of a paddy field. Paddy fields are divided into small enclosures by low banks in order to prevent the flood water running away. And we had one of the most bumpy rides. Bumpy means full of jolts, okay, bumpy, jolting. It's not smooth, jolting up and down of my experience before finding a way back onto the road. So what happened when the car fell down 6 feet down from the embankment and fell on the paddy field? After that, what happened? They rode the car on the paddy field itself. Our paddy field, I mean, sobe janu. Most of y'all have seen the paddy fields because y'all belong to the state Assam. So, homor jikunu jagate ami kheti dekhime ki aru ami kheti potharot ami ki dekho. Hetu kothai othore koise potharbur kenekwa thake. They are divided into small enclosures. Okay, horu square shape ke thake na pothar bilak. Aru that square is made of what? It's made of low banks. Okay, mati di pelai je ali buli ko ami অসমীয়াত আলিবোৰ বনোৱা থাকে, স্কুৱেৰ কৰি থোৱা থাকে, ভাগ কৰা থাকে, okay, হেতুকে কৈছে the author is telling that the paddy fields are divided into small enclosures by low banks in order to prevent the flood water running away. Taru eta scientific reason ase. And what is the logic behind it? These banks, which are low banks, which are built in square shape, they don't allow the rainwater to go away. So the rainwater collects there. Okay, rainwater collect hoi gole ki hoy? Kheti tu bhal hoy. He karne the author is telling that there are the low banks. Ar tahator ki hol? Tahati jetia paddy field or port gari khon solai gol. He je ali bilak paise eneke goise ako homan ako eta ali ako homan ako eta ali. So as a result, what happened? The ride had become very bumpy. In fact, the author writes that he had one of the most bumpy rides of his experience. Jibonot khub kome enekwa ride paisile. Iman jolt thoka, ups and downs thoka ride enekwa poa nasile. He had never experienced such a ride before. Okay, see students say England or pra aha manhujoner yat ki obostha hoisile. Okay, what his situation was when he came to Assam. As I told you before also, their country was much advanced at the time also, and ours was quite backward. That to our state Assam, most of the people depended on agriculture. Our state was not quite rich at the time. Etia homoyar logot bahut economic development hol, bahut progress hol scientifically, technologically, kintu he homoyt bahut pis pora asil. Okay, British, no doubt they were our colonial masters, but they also had made a lot of improvements in our living condition. হেতু আমি ডিনাই কৰিব নোৱাৰো. ব্ৰিটিছৰ সময়তে আমাৰ অসমত বহুত ব্ৰিজ বিলাক হ'ল, okay, a lot of improvements in infrastructure, beautiful buildings were also built. আমি যে ব্ৰিটিছৰ সময়ৰে কিছুমান ঘৰ, ডাঙৰ অফিচবিলাক বহুতখিনি ইম্প্ৰুভমেণ্ট নকৰা নহয়. They had done a lot of things obviously they thought that they will capture it forever, সেইটো কাৰণেই কৰিছিলে, but still. So এই কথাটো তোমালোকে বুজি পালে ৰোৱাণ্ট্ৰী কেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ অভিজ্ঞতাবিলাক হৈছে। এবাৰতো সেই ঘোঁৰাৰ পিঠিত উঠি পেলাই নৈ পাৰ হৈছে, আকৌ এবাৰ সেই মথাৰীৰ ওপৰৰ পৰা গাড়ী গৈ তল পালেগে। অ'কে, these were some unique experiences that ৰোৱাণ্ট্ৰী had to face during his stay in Assam. Next, you see, at the start of our travels, before the rains broke, the roads had been so dry that the surface was almost invisible under a cloud of dust. Driving was difficult and one's destination uncertain. In this paragraph, the author is talking about another accident, student, okay, another accident. And he's telling that at the start of our travels, when a journey start korar agote, before the rain broke out, the roads had become so dry. Hetu eta ako samasya. That is another problem. When there is no rain, the roads become too dry and too full of dust. So he's telling that before they started the journey, the initial part of the journey, the roads had become so dry. The surface was almost invisible under a cloud of dust. ইমানেই ধূলি হৈছিলে, শুকান হোৱাৰ কাৰণে ইমানেই ধূলি হৈছিলে that the roads were not properly visible under the cloud of dust. Driving was difficult and one's destination uncertain. Driving to khub digdari hoise, destination was uncertain, one cannot see what was lying ahead of. Dhuli karne manhe mane agot homukhot ki ase hetu dekhi napai. They couldn't see properly what lay before them. That was so difficult. At one place, road work had been in progress, and one of the favorite hazards of the road workers, a ramp lay concealed from sight under the dust cloud. Eta thait kenekwa hol, at one place road work had been in progress. Rastar kam choli asil, okay, road work was in progress, and one of the favorite hazards means difficulty or hurdle of the road workers, that is a ramp. Ramp is an inclined surface. Ramp tomalke dekhisa, inclined helonia at a surface, inclined surface connecting two level. One level is low, one level is high. A duta level connect kora, this inclined surface is called a ramp. Okay, so there was a ramp in the middle of the road. There was a ramp in the middle of the road connecting, okay, connecting the part that was being built and the other part which was not built. So what happens, see, no warning signs were in use, or if they were, not visible. Nor was this one of the puny ramps usually encountered in civilized countries, but a step about 6 inches high. So the author is telling that enekwa the situation hol dom bura rasta bur nedekhi, they were not able to see the road, and as it was not visible properly because of the dust, a ramp lay concealed. Concealed means hidden. At a ramp mane rastatut asile hetu teolke dekhi poa nasile. Okay, they couldn't see the ramp. Why? Because it was hidden under a cloud of dust. No warning signs were used. Kuno warning sign o nai je akhot ramp eta ase, kuno warning sign nai, no glow sign was there, and or if they were not visible. Jodi asileo kiba warning sign, they were not visible. They couldn't see. Tahati mane hetu dekhi poa nasile. Warning sign asileo jodi hetu teoloke sokure dekha nasile because of the dust. Nor was this one of the puny ramps usually encountered in civilized countries. Underline that, students, civilized countries. Okay, the author is telling that, and in fact, in a way, you may say he was making a mockery. Civilized country বুলি কাক refer কৰিছে? তেওঁলোকৰ দেশৰ কথা কৈছে যে তেওঁলোকৰ দেশবিলাকৰ নিচিনা civilized দেশত ramps বিলাক সৰু সৰু থাকে, small ramps. But here, the ramp was 6 inches high. Needless to say, the impact when we hit it was considerable. So as they were totally unaware that there was a ramp ahead of them, তেওঁলোকৰ আগত যে এটা ৰেম্প আছে, এই কথাটো যিহেতু তেওঁলোকে নেজানিছিলে, so গাড়ীখন এটা স্পীডত আহি গৈ কি হ'ল, ৰেম্পটোত খুন্দা মাৰি দিলে. Okay, the car went and collided on the ramp. Yes, so as a result, what happened? The impact was considerable. The effect, the result of the collision was quite considerable. Okay, it is not so less, he is telling. As the car was carrying my wife, myself, the baby, and her ayah, our servants, and the usual mass of camp equipment. It says much for the motor engineers of those days that not a single spring was broken on either of these occasions. So the author is telling that inside the car, who were there? Inside the car, there were many things, many people. The car was filled with author's wife, author was there, author's baby was there, the ayah means the lady who looks after the baby, she was there, their servants were there, and the usual mass of camp equipments means the equipments, the things that they require in order to make camps. Hey bostubilaku loi goisile. It says much for the motor engineers of those days that not a single spring was broken on either of these occasions. The ঘটনা দুটা এক্সিডেণ্টে হয় দুইটা এক্সিডেণ্ট এটা হৈছে তেওঁলোকে এম্বেকমেণ্টৰ ওপৰৰ পৰা পৰিলে নেক্সট দে ৱেণ্ট এণ্ড কলাইডেড অন দ্য ৰেম্প লাকিলি অন বোথ দিছ অকেশ্যনছ কেজুৱেলিটি ৱাজ নট মাছ অ'কে একো কেজুৱেলিটি হোৱা নাছিলে নট string was broken, single spring was broken. মানে গাড়ীখনৰ এডালো স্প্ৰিং ভঙা নাছিল. Luckily, not a spring was broken. Once the car fell from the height of 6 feet. Second, it hit a ramp with the height of 6 inches. But in neither of these occasions, not a single spring of the car was broken. Probably the fact that we were packed like sardines means small fatty fish, usually canned, okay? Tin fish যে থাকে আমি টিনত ভৰাই থোৱা মাছ যে দেখো ঢেৰ ভৰাই থৈ দিয়ে থেপাথেপিকে that is called sardines. Generally they are put into cans, okay? Lot of fish put together. Those fish are called sardines. We were packed like sardines in the car, saved our bones. So the author is telling that they had no casualty. গাড়ীখনৰ একো বেয়া নহলে আৰু কোনো মানুহেও গাড়ীত থকা কোনো মানুহে একো দুখ নেপালে আঘাত নহল, okay? No one got any hurt. The author thinks that he opines that probably it's because of the people were packed together, jam-packed together. There were no gap in between. That's why there was no casualty. Have you understood, students? So, in these two paragraphs, students, we get to know about the two accidents that the author had faced during his stay in the North Bank. Remember that this question often comes in your exam. কোনটো বেংকত থাকোতে এক্সিডেণ্ট গিটা হৈছে দুইটা এক্সিডেণ্ট হৈছিলে when the author was staying in the North Bank. That you have to remember, okay?